Welcome to our 4th annual Cottage Conversations. I cannot believe it's been 4 years. It's amazing to me. We began our tiny little cottage August 21st, 2009, and 4 years later we have just the little engine that could, the little cottage that could. So I've got notes, so I can't remember all of this anymore, all of the extra things we're doing, so just bear with me on this. But I do want to show you the very first little graphic that I love. It's all of our locations. Since we first began our cottage, the little teeny cottage in the heart of Centerville, in 2009, we have since expanded to all of these locations. If you like Vanna White, here you go. And I'll just list them for those of you that are in the area, but we have one in Vandalia, which is north of Dayton. And then we have our little strategic cottage in the heart of Centerville, which I love. And then we have our main, I call it Command Central, which is in Kettering, Ohio. And that has our nurse practitioner's office and our administrative office and our consulting office and all the generals like Battle are there. Then we have the office that I'm in now, our Mason, Ohio office, which is really warm and inviting. And then we have one in Crestview Hills, Kentucky, which is also much like this. It's just warm and inviting and all about women helping women. And then we have 2 new ones I guess it's over here in St. Louis, Missouri. We have 2 cottages in St. Louis, Missouri. So that's a lot of activity of women helping women that we've been able to promote or embrace in the last 4 years. So I think that's just a lot of stuff going on. So that's important. I think if you're listening to me now, you're on my website, which I love my website. We work hard to keep it up to date. I've got a crackerjack team. We're like a well-oiled machine of videographers and engineers and really smart people, way smarter than me. And so if you're on my website, you can look at the navigation bar and scroll right across the top, and you can see all the wealth of information that we really give you in this area of women's hormone balance. So please check that out. I would say if you had to start someplace, it's a toss-up. I would say throughout the video, I'll refer to a couple of them. I would say maybe you might want to start with my blog. My blog is really a great way for you to get a feel for what I'm about, my attitude, my tone, my warmth hopefully comes across. But I've had my director of operations now, Britt. I had her actually print out my most recent one, but the 4-year anniversary reflections. And my blog's just a way for me to, I would say twice a month or so, really when something hits me that I feel is worth saying, I will write about it. And whether it's a response to emails that I receive or more information or misinformation I've heard in the media that I just can't take it anymore, then I'll write about that. So my blog is a great place to start. I also, across the navigation bar, you will see another really important, I guess, tab called Functional Medicine, which I will talk about later today. Also, there's one, Begin Your Journey, which we'll get into today as well. But so you've heard me talk. You sat through this with a cup of coffee, a glass of wine. You're still lucid at the end of it, so what do? We'll go to the Begin My Journey section and take what I've spoken to you about and apply it in that Begin Your Journey section. So, and the way that I approach this is the way I approach my classroom. I was a teacher in sort of an inner city setting, sort of poverty for 30 years. And so I'm just an educator. So I have all my little props, no chalk, sort of chalk, but I have all my props here that I can use to point to and just talk to you frankly and honestly about what I know and about our mission. And I think what I need to tell you first is that my purpose for doing this is still to educate women. And it's because I care. I think probably one of my biggest qualities is my compassion for women and for the right cause. And there are most days I feel like Christopher Columbus, and I'm like, but really, the earth, it's round, it is. And it's just like, or David and Goliath, where it's just one little teeny woman, I mean, just teeny. And then you have all this misinformation. You've got big pharma, and you've got magazine articles, and you've got a newspaper, and you've got media. And the information that I read is really all not correct. And it's written with Big Pharma's agenda, and it's just really scary because the typical woman then would read that and they would just have one side, which is not my truth. And it doesn't have women's backs, and it's about drugging for the masses. And we're not about that. What I know, my truth is that we want to fix the cause of illness. This is the functional medicine piece. Fix the cause and identify the strategies and tools we need to be able to fix that. So if we can be specific about women's hormone balance, I want to clear up one thing right away. I hate the word menopause. It's an ugly word. I never use it. It just doesn't mean anything to me. And I'll tell you why. It's a very small piece of women's lives. It is in the umbrella of hormone imbalance. And hormone imbalance, again, part of functional medicine, isn't really validated in current standard of care, but it is part of the aging process. I am 58 now. I was 54 when I began. And at the age of about 35, if you're listening to me and you're over 35, join the club, your ovaries began to age. Sadly, it's just true. Can't do anything about it. And with that aging of our reproductive system comes a decrease of progesterone production. Progesterone has a lot of tasks. So if you can go to my little board here, we're going to just kind of flip over to this section right here. Progesterone is extremely important for women's joy of life. It's the joy of life hormone. It's your everything is okay hormone, which is why when you're 35 and beyond, you begin to feel like everything maybe isn't okay and you just can't figure out why. Well, I feel like for the most of the time, it's a progesterone reduction. It's you don't have enough progesterone. And it's aging. It happens to the best of us, okay? So progesterone's biggest task probably, and I've sort of ranked them, not really in order out of importance, but just basically, the big one it does is it helps promote sleep. So I hear women all the time that are early 40s, late 30s, mid 40s saying, God, I just can't sleep. Well, progesterone could be a big part of that. The other piece that helps is it helps prevent depression, helps anxiety, helps elevate your mood. Think about PMS when progesterone levels fluctuate and your mood gets a little bit off. Your husbands are your biggest irritant at that time of the month probably. That's a progesterone piece. Also, it helps prevent sugar cravings. That's the chocolate craving before we have our period. It also helps aches and pains. Interesting, huh? And then here's the biggest thing, besides the sleep piece probably and the anxiety piece, that I think progesterone does, and it's sort of a big deal. It's a really big deal. It's to help balance estrogen to help prevent breast cancer, okay? And so the piece that I think is most interesting is this really isn't taught in medical school. And I have nothing but respect for doctors. My brother-in-law is a doctor. I like doctors. I just have a problem with pieces of current standard of care that simply refuse to examine any other possibilities. And in talking with women, and being a woman, and talking with them for the past 4 years, when they're not being validated and they really don't feel any better, something is drastically wrong. And I take offense at that. And I'm like, but it's just so simple. But really, the earth, it's round, really. So if I can educate you and educate our doctors into the tasks of hormones and a really great personalized therapy plan, why would you not pursue that? I'm asking, why would you not? And I think we really have to begin to question our beliefs. You know, I have a lot of social media going on. That's a big full-time job. We tweet and we do Instagram and we do Pinterest and we do Facebook and we do it all. But we actually have a Facebook page for each cottage. And my Kentucky Facebook page always interests me because a lot of vocal women in Kentucky don't know what it is, but they put some comments on, which I always am quick to clear up, but you know, we do have to question our beliefs. And so I just think it's really important that we begin to be open to the possibilities. Otherwise, you're not going to feel better. You're going to age, but it's not going to be pretty. And I don't want to end up at the end of my life being bent over, dry, no energy, and sick because I didn't replace hormones. Because make no mistake, we need to replenish hormones to stay healthy. Simple fact, simple truth, the end. There's nothing else to say to that. I've digressed a little bit, but that's what we do in the flow here. Because my passion is educating women, and we have to do it the best the way that makes the most sense, and we have a lot of women now, a lot of clients, and so we're really known for, and here's where my little board is over here, we're really known for customer service and affordability and non-invasive treatment. But the customer service piece involves relationships. And so what we do with the relationships is once a client comes in and signs up with our program, we really keep in touch with them. We follow up with phone calls, we email every month, and once a client is better and they're rebalanced and they've got their joy of life again, I will keep in touch with them about 4 times a year, seasonally, with a great email blast. And I brought you one here that Britt printed out for us. And so you'll get an email from me with the latest, greatest news, and normally it will say, just checking in with my picture. And I talk about our latest trends and the latest information, the latest research, what we've discovered. I ask how you're doing. I give them tips. So I keep in touch this way as well. One interesting piece, and I mentioned this on my Kentucky Facebook page yesterday, a lady commented, but you know, I want to follow the FDA approved strategy with the studies. I'm like, we have lots of studies. Here's my favorite one that just came out or came to my attention recently. In fact, if you go at the end of the video here, or pause it and do it now, my navigation toolbar across the top, click on readings and resources, and this study, the geriatric patient study, is the second listing from the top. Click on that. It's a fairly easy read. It was written by 2 doctors, my favorite doctors, Dr. Erica Schwartz and Dr. Kent Holtorf, and they have made some very convincing arguments based on thousands of people and clinical studies that I think prove the point that we do have studies. They're just not part of current standard of care, and I have to ask, geez, why is that? Why is that? A couple things that came from this study on geriatric patients, one of the most important, compelling arguments, I thought, in favor of what we do, which is customized hormone therapy, is this. So I'll read it as my Crackerjack camera crew kind of scans down this. By the year 2025, that's in what, a dozen years, there will be 1.1 billion women older than 50 in the world. Women should no longer accept the pat in the back and antidepressant as the best therapy for hormone imbalance symptoms, often caused by aging and its attendant loss of hormones. Physicians must expand their knowledge and expertise to be able to provide aging women with safe and effective approaches to aging, and to provide them with sound information to help them make the best decision for their individual situation. I love that. It shares the responsibility for our health. And I have to say, I get it. I understand when we have a health concern, where do we go? Our beloved doctor. Why wouldn't you do that? Of course it makes sense. But in this area where the waters are so muddy and there's so much misinformation, I urge you to really own your journey in this area, because if you don't, you will not get the truth in the big picture. You will just get standard of care, big pharma, one size fits most, if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, what will you get? Antidepressant and a sleeping aid. And I think that is criminal for a hormone imbalance. So we have to be checking our levels, not in blood serum, I'll get to that later, and then personalizing therapy for each woman. And replacing, guess what? Hello, progesterone first. When you go to your trusted doctor, current standard of care says if you're having a hot flash, oh my God, you get the latest estrogen product of the month. And they're way too strong. And there's no progesterone. So you're getting even more estrogen. Well, guess what? When you're 35 and older and your hormones begin to deplete, progesterone depletes first, you're already estrogen dominant. And when you go to your doctor for some help, you get more estrogen. And I'm asking you, does that make sense? Because right here I've told you, unopposed estrogen is linked to an increase of breast cancer. So then why in heaven's name, I'm just asking, would we go and get more estrogen? Why would you not get progesterone? I'm just asking, okay? So my cause is having women's backs, listening to their story, validating them, and explaining through our studies and the truth that we have and the books that have been written by doctors, the options that are out there. It's simply not, mass dosing. It's customized for the individual. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about women getting the truth. It's my truth. It doesn't have to be yours. But then getting and staying healthy and working with your doctor. Or finding a doctor who, guess what, will get it. And here's the best news. I just have to turn a circle. I'm so excited. We have our own nurse practitioner now. She's amazing. She's working now. She couldn't come with me. She'll be in my commercial that I'm filming soon. Her name is Angela Rothstein. She's a nurse practitioner. She's stunning. She's a little teeny thing. She's like little, teeny thing, cute, little, powerful. a body shaper, don't ask, and wonderful, really, really empowered in this area. Functional medicine training now, really gets what we do. She began the therapy, has made a world of difference for her. It's just been so validating. So now we have a closed loop where people can come into my centers. They can get their step 1 consultation. They can see Angela, get their therapy. It's just really a beautiful thing, and it's so simple. And the bottom line is, guess what? You will feel better. You'll prevent disease like breast cancer. We'll take care of your symptoms, and we will fix the cause as functional medicine does. So it's just all good. I'm just so excited the universe is providing. Getting back to the study, the hormone replacement therapy in the geriatric patient, current state of the evidence and questions for the future. A couple more quotes that I wanted to go over here. I love this one. And I love it's written by a couple of doctors. The scientific literature suggests that natural hormone supplementation with estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid hormone has the potential to improve quality of life and to prevent or reverse the many symptoms and conditions associated with aging, including fatigue, depression, weight gain, frailty, osteoporosis, loss of libido, and heart disease. Amazing. And this is, again, evidence-based medicine. Should be part of standard of care, just saying. And then the last piece from the study, of which we have many studies, and again, on my recommended readings and resources section of my website, if you click on there, there's a practitioners section of resources with lots of studies. So see, we don't make this stuff up. It's actually science-based, evidence-based medicine. Here's the last one that I thought was really critical from that study. Until recently, no distinction has been made between bioidentical and synthetic hormones, leaving a deficit in the public and physicians' knowledge and understanding of hormones in general. Physicians should be concerned not only with improving their patient's lifespan, but their health span, the duration of time a person experiences a high-quality, vigorous, and enjoyable life. I love that. I love that. My dad moved in recently to a retirement village in Mount Dora, Florida. Lovely. And he's in independent living. And he's 86, going to be 87 in February. And it is a great facility. And it goes from independent to assisted living to, it's not called nursing home anymore, but I don't know, around-the-clock care. I don't know the politically correct term, but people that are really not, that are sick, okay? Anyway, he goes across the driveway and the sidewalk to the lodge every night for his nightly meal. And I go with him when I visit, and I love it. But my observation is there aren't a lot of people that are his age that are still mobile, that are still ambulatory. And this is men and women. And I don't want to have that happen to me. And knowing what I know about the importance of hormones and how we've got to keep the tank refilled, so to speak, with a customized, personalized dosing to keep our bodies healthy, it just makes sense that you would do that so you wouldn't have osteoporosis, dementia, heart disease. Because as we said in our study, in our quote earlier, the attendant loss of hormones is and the aging process is what promotes the disease. So we are about functional medicine, disease prevention, and fixing the cause. So it's sort of the opposite of what current standard of care in our country is about today. And so my truth, I feel, is just, it has a message that's really worth hearing and getting out again and again. I'm going to go to, this is where the teacher and me from 30 years in the classroom, I love this, I'm getting chills here. But I have my little smart board, and just a brief background. You know, back in the day, we're talking even just 10 years ago, the Women's Health Initiative came out. I think it was 2002. And it really proved in that study the harmful effects that could come from the synthetic hormones that were prevalent back to about 10 years ago. And the biggest one was Premarin. And I have the word here, horse pee, because if you look at the word Premarin, it's pregnant mare's urine, Premarin. And this is all conjugated estrogens that they would put into women's bodies, and it's all synthetic. Now, I don't know about you. Nothing on me feels like a horse. Like I don't know that I would want horse pee in my body. I'm really sorry. It just sort of grosses me out. But that was standard of care 10 years ago. Not so much today, thank you. The other prevalent synthetic drug on the market is Provera, and that's a progestin. It is not progesterone. It is progestin. And then the drug that puts those two together, like double the flavor, double the fun, I guess, is Prempra, which is Premarin, and Provera, which is synthetic conjugated estrogens, or horse pea, and progestin. Woo! I don't get it, but there you go. That's synthetic, okay? Luckily, we're in a more organic era now with, you know, people are wanting the natural, the gluten-free, and it's kind of come full circle now. But now the bioidentical, and this is all under hormone replacement. So you've got the umbrella hormone replacement, synthetic, and BHRT. And BHRT stands for bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Bioidentical meaning that the hormones are created, compounded, in our case, in a lab from plant-based powders, and they mimic the actual hormones that are made in the human body. But as we get older, they're not made enough of. So thus, we have the disease approaching and the symptoms and all of that. So our stance, our philosophy is that we can simply measure those hormone levels that are existing in each woman's body today, and we can then bioidentically create hormones to replace those depleted levels and refill those again optimally with physiological dosing, and then we can have health. And that's the simple premise. So now you have BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and now you even have a couple more divisions. You have the manufactured estrogen of the month product, and even a progesterone. So you have the estrogen patch. I wish I could wrap this, but I'm not a rapper. Estrogen gel, estrogen spray. The problem with them, from our perspective, is that when drug companies make these BHRT products, they're not a bad product. But the drug companies use blood serum data. And what I know from my studies is this. When you take blood intravenously, the hormones have been depleted by the heart. So the hormone levels are very low. And drug companies use these low readings to develop their estrogen products. And the products are then just too strong. It's too much estrogen. And then there's very little, if any, progesterone being prescribed. So you even promote that hormone imbalance even more. There is a BHRT progesterone on the market, which is not a bad product. It's fine. It's called Prometrium. It's a capsule. It's made by drug companies. It's soaked in peanut oil. If you have a peanut allergy, you can't take it. And it lasts in the blood in the body, for a few hours. Not a bad product. What most people do not know is this, and I know because I'm married to a compounding pharmacist. Prometrium will convert to allopregnanolone for sleep, and very little converts to progesterone. So those women who are lucky enough to be not on this, but on a BHRT product from a drug company that's FDA approved, which is great, they're on a strong estrogen product, a patch, probably maybe a spray or a gel, very strong, and it's Prometrium if they're lucky. Not many women are, but some are, and that's great. And it is progesterone, but it converts to allopregnanolone. So you don't have that balance there. You think there might be, but there isn't. Okay, so too much estrogen and very little progesterone. So better than this, in my opinion, better than this, probably better than nothing because it does help the symptoms. But in my opinion, this is my video, I can state where I'm coming from, right? Not customized or personalized. So what is compounded or personalized or customized BHRT? It's where we actually measure your hormone levels, and we at the Happy Hormone Cottage do not use blood serum. We used to use saliva, and we still could at times, and we like the ZRT saliva testing. David Zava, brilliant man, best at what he does in our opinion. Love him, love what they do. We've just discovered a new company that uses urine strip testing, and they're called Precision Analytical Laboratories. I call them PAL, Precision Analytical, and they actually use urine strips, so you can actually, dinner time, you can urinate or tinkle, if you will, or my Aunt Ann says piddle, on a little urine strip, or you can tinkle in a cup and then dip the strip in it. And all women have to pee, right? Sometimes, often. So we use the little strips, 4 or 5 of them. You tinkle on the strip at dinner time, before bed. If you wake up in the middle of the night like I do, in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, and then 2 hours later, and then you let them dry over a counter or a towel rack or something, and you put them in the envelope. And I'll actually hold this up and show you. You put them in an envelope and send them out to the laboratory in Oregon. Isn't this cute, though? I love these. And it has the directions and what you need, what you can and can't do, and taking your medication and so on. But then here are the strips. So here's the strips you dip. You actually label the strip in the orange area with your name and the time. It's very easy. Put it in the envelope, send it out. I think it takes 2 stamps to send it back. And the amount of information that we can glean from this is amazing. And it not only tells us the actual hormone levels, and if you are having your cycles or periods, we like you to test day 19, 20, and 21, just like saliva testing. But the beauty of this is it also tells us how your hormones are methylating and metabolizing in your body, which pathway they're going down. And we can use that information to give us a really good snapshot of your overall health, possibly some diseases that you might be prone to, like breast cancer, osteoporosis, and so on. And so we like this. It's cutting edge, it's user-friendly, it's easy. The information we can glean is amazing, and we just find this to be a great tool as well. So saliva testing, yep, blood spots sometimes, precision analytical labs, urine strip testing we like. We just don't use blood serum. We just don't find that it's accurate. What this is not current standard of care. It is what we do, but nothing I do is current standard of care. If it was, you wouldn't need me. I mean, if women were great and felt well, there would be no place for me to do what I do. So we think that's really exciting. Okay, so when we customize therapy then, and we've measured your levels with the urine strip testing or however we've chosen to do that, we can actually get a read on where your hormone levels are. Then we can customize for all women who are over 35. We have women, actually clients that are in their 20s, really young, that are having progesterone deficiency. So we customize progesterone. We can also customize estrogen, which we call bias, which is estradiol and estriol, and then also testosterone. And we like to recommend that we use our topical creams vaginally. I mean, topical creams traditionally has meant that you use them on your inner arm or your upper chest or inner thigh, but, excuse me, what we've discovered recently is if we can use the creams measured out, physiologically dosed, what your body needs exactly, specifically for you, and we use it vaginally, it's a systemic absorption and it seems to just do really well. So we use our topical creams then in that delivery system of vaginally. And then I love this, checking hormone levels before treating hormone imbalance is key. And then this is the sentence that I think really says it all, my reason for being. If we do nothing to impact our health today, is the best day we will ever have. You will not feel any better tomorrow or the next day or the next year. It will just not get better. And all the women that I talk to have these same 3 issues. Actually, there's more, but these are my favorite 3. I don't think I can name one woman that doesn't want to have better sleep, lose a little bit of weight or a lot of weight, have libido. Libido is a big thing. Energy, if I had a 4th one, I had to do it again, I would have a 4th one here, which would be energy. Most women that I know and talk to every single day, 24/7, want sleep, lose weight, libido, energy. They want to get rid of the brain fog. They want to get rid of these little love handles back here that are just like, ugh. And they're just, it's impossible because it's a hormone imbalance issue. So if you do nothing, today's the best day you're going to have. I think that pretty much, that pretty much says it all. So what are you going to do? Well, the first step is to get educated. And that's what we have, the 3 E's. We're E3. We are to educate, enlighten, and empower women to own their journey to their best health naturally, which is why I do what I do. You're on my website listening to me talk. We're going to educate you more on hormones. You've got some great facts from studies that we have. There are lots of them on my website. And I think what we're doing, someone said to me recently, you know you're doing something right when you have enemies. That is so true. I think we are getting the word out. I will show you, and I always feel kind of funny, like I'm bragging. It's not my intention, so it's odd to show you this, but I am on the cover of a couple of magazines, Single Source News. This is from, I think, September, so this last month. This is from August, the Chronicle, and the article is Meet Lynn Hogarth, a woman with a vision to help other women, so that's kind of cool. My wonderful video team actually filmed me at a recent, I guess it was March, educational forum, and I have a DVD out now, which is kind of cool. It's on my website if you're interested in that. I have a book coming out in about 2 months. It's going to be Own Your Journey, and it's about I'm a women's health warrior and how I sort of speaking out about hormone balance. That's coming up, which is exciting. Something else that I'm doing that's sort of all tied in, I'm beginning a foundation. It's a Lynn Hogarth Women's Health Initiatives Foundation, because the man that I'm working with, Mark Newman, who is the head of the Precision Analytical Lab, actually needs some money for sensitive instruments. He thinks he has found a way to isolate, and I hope I get this right, I'm not a biochemist or analytical chemist or even that smart, but he's found a way to isolate a DNA adduct, a genetic component that promotes breast cancer. And if he can get money for sensitive instruments to identify this genetic component in phase 1, he can hopefully be, in phase 2, develop a commercially available kit that women can use, I would think, assume urine, to identify if they have this component. And then we can work to actually prevent breast cancer through supplementation, nutrition, and so on. So my foundation's goals are going to be to continue to educate and raise awareness, but also to fund Mark and his team of scientists into this way to prevent breast cancer. So I'm really excited about that. I feel like we can put our money where our mouth is in again, just women helping women. So that's another great piece that I want to share with you at this point. Okay, let's talk more about the tasks of hormones here. We talked about progesterone, and and I'll just be frank, because hopefully you're with women here, but women who are still having their periods, who are still bleeding, we never give them estrogen. We just don't find they need it. If they're on the cusp, they're perimenopause or beginning menopause, and they're having symptoms, we could introduce it a little bit if they're having just an occasional period, but we just give progesterone as our first means of attack, if you will. When you go to your doctor for help, if you don't get an antidepressant or sleeping aid, and you're having hot flashes and you get an estrogen of the month product, you're getting probably very little, if any, progesterone. If you do, it'll be prometheum, which I've already told you converts to allopregnanolone. It's not all progesterone, so you're not getting optimal hormone balance. That's a problem, in my opinion. But when women are no longer having their period, or they've had surgery and need estrogen, it's a really important hormone. It is not a dirty word. It does 300 jobs in the body. And 2 big tasks that estrogen has is to help protect the brain from dementia and protect the heart from heart disease. You've probably heard the #1 killer of women in their 50s is heart disease. Why? Estrogen levels begin to drop. Makes sense, right? Okay, so we've got to replenish those in physiological dosing with progesterone. So progesterone first, then estrogen. And testosterone also, women have it too. It's not just for men anymore, and even all men don't have what they need. It depletes with age as well. Testosterone in women builds new bone. It signals the osteoblasts to build new bone, helps memory recall, helps energy, and helps libido when we also address the adrenal gland exhaustion. So the beauty of this precision analytical lab urine testing kit is it also checks diurnal cortisol, which is critical. So now in urine we can get a read on our hormones and our cortisol, which is our sex hormones and our cortisol, which is really important. So once we know what our cortisol is doing, we can give you supplementation to also impact that. And we really work with some great companies. We love Orthomolecular. They've got some great products. We also like Nordic Natural for our fish oil. A word about fish oil, omega-3s. My husband Jeff took a class recently. He just recently got his advanced fellowship in functional medicine, so I'm really proud of him for that. But he took a class on fish oil, omega-3s, and what I learned was they're my new best friend because they help push thyroid into the brain for brain clarity. They help burn fat, who doesn't want that, and they help raise metabolism. So they're a great supplement. And he just took a class on cancer, and we also find that it helps prevent inflammation, which is a big proponent of cancer. So I hope it comes off, the fat comes off the back of my thighs. I'm still working on that. But I love omega-3s. They're great, and we like to recommend 2,000 units a day. So we actually carry a great one on my website store by Nordic Natural, and it's high potency. And we like the Pro DHA. So I just think that's a really great information to have that you probably aren't getting maybe out and about. So I wanted to pass that on as well. So there's the task of hormones. We talked about healing your adrenal glands. We talked about a really great supplement. We also normally recommend magnesium glycinate for aches and pains that's compounded. We love vitamin D, vitamin K combination as our newest supplement coming out. And I'm learning more about the vitamin K piece as we speak. We've been recommending about 5,000 units of vitamin D a day, but you can check that in your blood. We do like to use blood for thyroid and for vitamin D and vitamin B levels and ferritin. And so we also offer a separate lab panel with LabCorp where for $200, they do a lot of this expensive testing. So we've got a special deal for $200 total, and we can check T3, T4, reverse T3, reverse T4, I think total T3, total T4, ferritin, which is the building block of iron. We check vitamin D, and we check something called TPO, which stands for thyroid peroxidase is the word. But most people don't check for that, but we do, and we really find it very indicative of the Hashimoto's, and that can be lots of times corrected with just eating gluten-free and eating appropriate and taking selenium to help the inflammation and so on. So this blood work that we can also do, we have supplementation to help that as well. But the urine kits, like the saliva kit, also had a blood spot piece for the thyroid, which is convenient. This does not, but we have a separate lab panel that will address the thyroid as well. And when you go to most doctors, they'll read your T4 and your TSH maybe. Our test includes TSH, by the way. But we actually have all the pieces of the puzzle, so we can figure out exactly what's going on. We find the reverse T3 information to be valuable, the TPO to be valuable. So if you have the whole puzzle, you can figure out exactly what it is that's wrong, and then you can work to correct that. So all the systems that we deal with are sex hormones, adrenal, and then thyroid. And here's what we know. Hormone balance is just the first step to wellness. It isn't the end-all, the be-all. We don't fix bunions. We don't repair broken marriages. We help, because if you're hormonally balanced, you feel better, and your libido goes up, and that really helps. But this is just the first step to balance and to health and to wellness. And it's just the first piece of taking charge of your journey. So I think that's pretty critical. The third chart that I have over here, is I just made it sort of tongue-in-cheek one day, because I would hear women come in and they would get educated, they'd have their step 1 consultation, and then they just, I would say, well, do you have what it takes to get better? And now that we have our own nurse practitioner, Angela, women are getting better because she's already on board. So it's just a really great, easy, closed loop. But can you think for yourself and be assertive? Stand up for what you know. Understand the educational piece behind what you're fighting for your best health naturally. Take charge of your journey. Can you question your beliefs? We mentioned this before. Question your current care. And then let's talk for a second about insurance. Excuse me. I don't know about you, but insurance, in my opinion, was never meant to take care of our every need. Insurance is just that. It's just insurance. But I think it's up to us to take care of our own health. And so we do accept HSAs, we accept flex spending cards, but if you expect insurance to take care of your every need here, you're probably going to be disappointed. The good news is urine testing is an acceptable means of lab work in current standard of care. So luckily, when you buy the urine testing kit, it's $350. We provide you with 2 papers that you can submit into your insurance company. And reimbursement's been really high because it's an accepted means of checking hormone levels. So that hasn't been a problem. And then we do bill insurance for your hormone therapy, so it's not expensive. In fact, it's about $1 a day. I don't know, I have $1 a day. Do you have $1 a day? Probably. So every hormone is $1 a day. And Angela normally writes for a 3-month supply. So if you need progesterone, it's going to cost you $90 for 90 days. I think that's pretty darn reasonable to have hormones replenished so you can do these activities. I think that's, and to prevent disease, because how much will breast cancer cost you to fix that when you get that? Something to think about, huh? So insurance, it might help, and like I said, we've been getting reimbursed rather highly for this, but it's not meant to pay for everything. So if women say, well, I'm not going to do it if insurance won't pay, then I say this. Then today might be the best day you ever have. Just be open to the possibilities. Don't let the insurance piece limit you. I mean, I just think that women, that we're not even on our list anymore. We're not even on the list. And what I found from the women I work with is when they begin to feel better, it impacts the entire family unit. And then everybody begins to heal and feel better. So I guess my question is, why would you not do this? It's extremely, your health is all you have. It's it. There's nothing else. That's it. So I think it's really an important piece. Down here again, functional medicine. It's on my navigation bar, but it's patient-centered, not disease-centered. It's holistic. When you meet with an FM doctor, a functional medicine doctor, you can Google them. They're in the area. They're normally amazing. They do cost money. Your best health will cost you money. Not going to get around that. They'll meet with you for typically an hour and a half to 2 hours. They will address not only your symptoms, but, oh my God, your lifestyle, genetic components. What else do they talk about? It's on my website. The environment. I mean, they look at the big picture. And again, it's science-based. I read this somewhere that current standard of care is about 50 years behind the science and research. I'm 58, so I think that scares me. So I always go the functional medicine route. What I do is in functional medicine where we want to prevent disease and fix the cause and not just band-aid the symptoms. So I think that's really cool. Okay, one thing, before I talk about beginning your journey, the one thing I want to mention is my intention was just always to educate women and clear up the confusion that comes out every day in the paper and in media. And I've actually had to become a women's health advocate because what I find is it's just so unfair for all this misinformation to come out and the other side is never really presented. And that's why in this case of women's hormone balance, you have to do the hard work and research yourself and own your own journey. But we've had a couple of bills going through the Senate. And one of them has been Senate Bill S.959. And I find that to be a really interesting bill because the lobbyists that began this bill actually sit on a board of directors for a drug company. Now that is a definite conflict of interest, would you think? And guess what? This drug company just came out with here you ready for it, brace yourself, grab onto something, an estrogen progesterone capsule. So you see, there's sort of the hidden agenda for some of this. And I'm like, really? And here's something else that makes me a little bit cranky, is that we don't really like oral estrogen as much as we do topical cream or vaginal estrogen because there have been studies where oral estrogen can promote clotting. And I think that's a problem. So we don't really like a lot of oral estrogen. In our particular section of what I do, we don't ever really prescribe it. We don't like it. So, and we have our best health naturally as, our passion. And then I mentioned before that oral progesterone isn't really progesterone, it's allopregnanolone, so you're not really getting progesterone. And then when you do have something that comes from a drug company, it's not customized for you. And on top of that, if you need another reason, lots of doctors that would check hormone levels, if they do check them, and most I don't think do, they will use blood serum. I've already told you why blood serum isn't valid. So for all those reasons, I don't like that approach. But anyway, we even have to write, to our senators and our congressmen and say, look, you have to have your eyes wide open. In fact, one of my beloved staff, Kelly, met with Senator Rob Portman at Kilwin's Chocolate at the Greens in Dayton in the summer, July. I had just left out of town. I wasn't available, so Kelly went in and just did a great job. And they were at Kilwin's, which is a chocolate company. They make candy and ice cream, and they're delicious. They were watching a worker at Kilwin's make a big batch of caramel corn. And they're looking at this is Senator Rob Portman and his help, Marilyn, I think was her name, his assistant, and Kelly. And Kelly's like, this is just like Cracker Jack's company, Caramel Corn Cracker Jack's, making a bad batch of caramel corn. And now no one can make caramel corn. And it's ridiculous. And what I'm referring to is, and I'm glad I remember to bring this up, about a year ago they had the New England Compounding Tragedy, NECC. Horrific tragedy, the New England Compounding Lab. But they're not what we do. They were a manufacturer of sterile intrathecal therapy. They had a sterile lab and they manufactured and shipped great volumes across the country. We, at our pickle medicine shop that works with the Happy Hormone Cottage, we're not a sterile lab. We only make topical creams and we make for the individual. So I really resent being lumped into the New England compounding tragedy. We had nothing. It was horrible. It's horrific. I feel the pain of the victims and their families, and I have compassion. But it's nothing that is dealt with and is linked to what I'm doing. We make topical creams, so it's the word compounding that people who want to shut everything down have used as an excuse, like Senate bill. I'm all about being safe. I'm promoting safety as well, but let's not lump everybody in the same group. It's like saying because your dog bit somebody, now nobody can have a dog. Does that make sense? Not to me, probably not to you either. So again, it's being informed and not letting the media frenzy cloud the truth. And we're about safety. I just want it to be true and honest for everybody, and I want to keep women's options for hormone therapy open, because let's focus on that issue. It's topical cream therapy used vaginally. It's based on evidence-based medicine. It's scientific research backed. There's tons of studies, and it's just been a great, beautiful journey for us. So I've had to become an advocate because of the mistruths and lack of information that's out there that really just gets me all proclaimed. In closing, I just want to say that I was listening to Tara Brach, a CD recently, and she had a question in there which gave me pause for reflection. She said, "What does your heart most want?" And I thought about that, and I thought, gosh, what my heart most wants is for me to show every woman that I meet that they really are important to me. When they come into our facility, they're important to us. We validate their journey. We have compassion for where they've been, where they're going. We want to have a hand and help heal them, because every woman does matter. And so for you personally, to go to my website, click on Begin Your Journey. That'll show you how to get started with my program. Fill out your personal history and inventory form. You can purchase a urine testing kit. You can call to schedule an appointment for a step 1 consultation. You can read about the whole program. Our email is very easy. It's info@happyhormonecottage.com. We'll have on the screen, we'll have our phone number, our contact information for our offices. We're only ever an email away. So I want to wish you a very blessed year, much luck, happy hormone health. Watch for my book to come out later in November. Contact us if we can be of any help, and I look forward to speaking with you again next October for our 5th annual Cottage Conversations with Lynn. Have a great day.